Victor Gyokeres is running out of time. Arsenal's star striker needs a statement performance against Liverpool with Gabriel Jesus and Kai Havertz ready to snatch his number 9 spot. Arsenal's match with Liverpool will be played in its own dedicated slot within this midweek round of Premier League fixtures. It will receive maximum exposure, both domestically and abroad. There will be no hiding place for any player that sets foot on the Emirates Stadium pitch on Thursday, not least the Gunners' marquee summer signing Victor Gyokeres. There was much fanfare when Gyokeres' initial £55 million, $74.2 million transfer from Sporting CP was wrapped up last July. It was no secret that Arsenal had been on the lookout for a new centre-forward, with the club eventually deciding to pursue Gyokeres over RB Leipzig's Benjamin Sesko, who would later join Manchester United. Has Gyokeres lived up to the hype? Well, not exactly. The summer of every Arsenal fan in your life doing his signature mask celebration at any given opportunity feels like a long time ago now. The good news for Mikel Arteta is this has barely affected their season so far, with his side top of both the Premier League and Champions League tables. But there is an increasing feeling that Gyokeres is already expendable, either because of Arsenal's other options in attack or because his final price tag, far from prohibitive if the club wanted to jump back into the market for another striker. In this day and age, elite sides are happy to consider a £55 million player only a backup option. Gyokeres is in desperate need of his big Premier League moment to keep skeptics at bay. In theory, he should enjoy feasting up against this meek Liverpool backline. Gyokeres' return of 97 goals in 100 games for Sporting meant that Arsenal probably would have felt that, at worst, he would have had no trouble finding the net this season. He also boasted previous experience in England with Coventry City, ripping up the Championship and coming within a penalty shootout of promotion in his final year with the Sky Blues. There was probably some theory that as long as he was standing in the right places, the Gunners' creative and other attacking outlets would find him. This has not been the case. Gyokeres has blanked in 18 of his 23 Arsenal appearances to date. 2 of his 7 goals have been penalties. Remarkably, he still is the team's joint leading scorer both in the Premier League and in all competitions, though this is more down to their strength in depth and proficiency from set pieces. Spreading the love right through a deep squad, 15 different players have scored, while Arsenal have benefited from 4 own goals too. Gary Lineker, one of the finest strikers England has ever produced, believes Gyokeres needs to be doing more off the ball in order to improve both his goal tally and importance to the team, telling the Swede to take a leaf of the informed Dominic Calvert-Lewin's book. I've watched him quite closely the last few weeks, and I think he's like most strikers, is one that waits to see where it's going, the ball, waits until it's crossed and then attacks the space, Lineker said of Gyokeres on the Rest is Football podcast. That's what defenders do. As a striker, you got to gamble on where you think the ball might go and you go just as they're about to cross it. You steal a march on the defender that way and lots of the time the ball won't go there, but I don't see him doing that very often. Dominic Calvert-Lewin did a perfect example of how to do that for the Leeds goal at Sunderland. Perfect. He didn't wait and to see where it was going to go. He went, right, I pulled away, and then he sprinted at the near post and hoped that the ball would be delivered there, and it was. I don't see that too often from Gyokeres at present. The players that score big numbers will do that. You know, Erling Haaland, Harry Kane, Robert Lewandowski. They know how to make those kind of moves into those spaces. Is it something you can learn? I've always thought yes, but because it's actually common sense, because it's law of probability when you think about it. Beyond the numbers, Gyokeres doesn't look like a typical Arsenal player. You could excuse his brutish style and brooding, henchman-like demeanour if he was scoring goals by the bucket load. Instead, he just appears to be a bit out of his depth. Arguably, Arsenal's best stretch of the season came when Gyokeres was injured and only just returning to full fitness, with the Gunners notably thrashing rivals Tottenham, and then picking apart fellow Champions League hopefuls Bayern Munich in November. Granted, this is a small sample size, so it's impossible to say whether or not Gyokeres' absence was key to this run, but the optics of any supposed correlation aren't great for his case. Gyokeres is incredibly strong, and the various pictures of him across the internet without a shirt on prove he's ripped. Yet this doesn't translate particularly well to the pitch, with former Arsenal star and fellow Swede Stefan Schwarz suggesting the striker may need to lose some weight if he's going to find his best form again. Sometimes the dog who barks loudest is not always the strongest. I think it's just the players in the Premier League. They are more powerful players, faster players. The strikers will always be counted on for the goals that they are scoring. He didn't have a proper pre-season, and you need to play the games. You have those 6 weeks to interact with your colleagues, to understand the movement. When the midfielder makes the pass, you just have to look in their eyes. You know where they'll pass it. That's a relationship that takes a bit of time, and football is about fine margins. Look at Dennis Bergkamp. He was the best at that. He will learn and score a lot of goals, and that will benefit Arsenal. Jesus' resurrection. For most of 2025-2026, Gyokeres' position as Arsenal's No.9 has been relatively unchallenged. Mikel Merino has again come in handy as an option up front, though largely as a last resort measure. But now there is genuine competition for that spot. Gabriel Jesus is back in the picture following an ACL tear, and has looked as sharp as he has in years. His superb strike in their recent 4-1 demolition of Aston Villa opened the door to the Brazilian becoming a starter once again at the expense of Gyokeres. Incredible Havertz nearing return. As alluded to by Carragher, Kai Havertz is another player looking to take minutes away from Gyokeres. Usually an Ironman figure who's always fit and available, the German has been plagued by injuries over the last 12 months, but is closing in on a return to action. Havertz was signed from Chelsea in 2023 to play in central midfield, but after half a season of failed experimentation, Arteta decided to move him into the No.9 role. Through Arsenal's final 14 games of 2023-2024, Havertz registered 9 goals and 7 assists, having been bumped up the pitch. He was also the team's leading scorer for 2024-2025 despite missing the last third of the campaign. Gyokeres hasn't been prolific in an Arsenal shirt, but there's an argument he's still helping by occupying defenders with his considerable presence. It's a part of his game which has been highlighted by Declan Rice, who scored twice in Saturday's 3-2 win at Bournemouth, thanks to his striker keeping the opponents busy. It's tough for him, because he's got two defenders on him all game, all over him, Rice said of Gyokeres. So he has to use his strength, he has to do all he can to help the team, and with my first goal, without him making that run from Gabriel Martinelli's flick and holding it, setting it off to Martin Odegaard, that goal wouldn't happen. That was a pivotal moment in the game, for us to turn the game on its head.